You are watching Studio Midnights, owned and operated by Marcus Studios, where creators build, dream, and bring the culture to life.
This is Coco, and y'all know I always come with the conversations and the topics that be the deepest of the deep, from TikTok to Instagram. Thank you guys for tuning into Soundoff, and let's get into these hot topics.
The texting game, the phone game, the ratio of people feeling comfortable being on their phones all day texting, I don't like it. And I feel like we gotta be for real. It comes to a point, like I say on TikTok, we gotta be for real with the connections that you're building with people in real life and understanding that we're not robots and things are not a robotic conversation. So when it comes down to dating, let's do dating first. There's no way that you can build a connection with someone and you're only texting them 24/7 out the day. And I feel like texting has made people comfortable and reliant on the fact that because you sent a bubble to somebody that it has meaning. I want to hear you say that in person. I need to hear the conversation being said in person. I need to feel the emotions. And I feel like we've got this robotic system that kind of, builds meaningless connections. But had we not had our phones, would the connection still be the same?
Texting, I feel like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook kind of been around from 2016. TikTok kind of became a heavier thing during COVID.
Been around TikTok heavy during connections that we built during 2016 and before that seem to be a little bit more authentic. Nowadays, it's like you could talk to somebody today, go 24 hours tomorrow and not speak to them. And it's just like people are too reliant on thinking that because, as I said before, that you sent a text message, that means something. So of course, I do feel like texting and social media has made people lazy, but it's all about having a mindset. It's a mindset. You don't have to rely on your phone to build a connection with somebody. It's the simple things like probably planning a date or getting together with your friends or just physical contact. It's the physical things that we really seem to downplay these days. And I don't like it. This is the reason why the dating pool is shit, But to a certain extent, as I said before, we're all grown. And it's up to the person if they do want to use that time to get to know somebody on a deeper level or they just want to keep sending text messages for the rest of their life. But me personally, I don't need nobody texting my phone 24/7. What you doing? What's your favorite color? I don't want to hear it. I'm over it. I need you to come outside and let me know what's up. Next topic.
Okay. So the next topic that I want to jump into is presidency. With hypermasculinity being ran in the government right now and all the memes that we've made out of men, it's hard to take y'all seriously, I'm not gonna lie, because there's too much men in one room, but the things that are being talked about and the way that they're abusing their power, it proves the women right every time. Now y'all ain't want, what's her name, Kamala. Y'all ain't want Kamala in office, which is fair. It's a man's world to y'all. But at the same time, had a woman been in office, I feel like the outcome would have been different. The conversation would have been different. The arguments would have been different. We've seen these presidents link up and have these conversations as if they're in their backyard having a conversation about real life situations that are serious to discuss. So my thing is, I have to ask the viewers, do you guys think the hypermasculinity behind the men being the face of the world is beneficial to us? And me personally, it all depends on who's in office. But looking at the result of men being in office, maybe it's time for a change. I feel like y'all kind of shadow out the fact that women do have the potential to be great in office, be statements of new changes and new things with positive ends. I feel like men tend to get power and they get a little excited. Like Trump was in office with all those other presidents bullying that man, and it's like, what was the point? So at this given moment with the government and men being the face of the world, I feel like they're not doing a good job at being only a staple and a statement to what a real man should be and how the world should be ran. But that's just my tea on it.
How you doing, guys? My name is Devin Nobles, or Discernible, and you have just tuned in to Soundoff.
A new era starts with what you wear. The official Mindful King shirt has dropped bold, clean, and built for legacy. Available now at the Marcus Studio shop. Step in with purpose. Represent the brotherhood. We are Mindful Kings.
And y'all know Soundoff is all about the arts of bringing Black entrepreneurs, people that bring a different taste to the conversation of the Black community. Today, we have a staple, a gem, someone that I personally know that's going to be here speaking on behalf of the real that y'all want to know, the real deal, right? I'm going to introduce to you guys Devin Nobles, our special guest of the night. And we have you here.
Yes.
Welcome to Soundoff. So guys, I want to tell you a little bit about Devin here. He's a special candidate for tonight because he has amazing insight on the conversations we create in our segments. Coming from someone who is a friend of him personally, he is a staple in our community, a poet, a chosen one, a gem. Devin's hard work over the years has not only resulted in him making connections, collaborating with communities and diversities of all kind, but to emphasize the importance of self-love, awareness, mental health in the Black community. He has used his platform in many ways as a Black man to create art and be a staple to a different narrative. Please welcome guest host, Devin, or as I should say, new and born Devin Nobles.
Hello. Ken, thank you so much for that intro.
Yes.
So giving the audience a little bit about yourself, right? We know that you own Worthy Note. I just want to ask you, why was it created? I know that you have many different forms of expressing yourself on Instagram, whether it be your infamous mug quote reveal or simply sharing your poems through your platform. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to do both.
Growing up, I always had issues expressing myself verbally. I was a very quiet kid, and as I got older, I found it to be very important for me to find ways to express myself without imploding on my own feelings and my own thoughts. So to my mug reveals, I always believed in the power of positive messages, because when I was super depressed, I had wristbands that I would look to whenever I was really down, and it would mind us head up. And I think there's an important power in sharing that with other people, because if that could do that for me, who else could that do that for? I actually originally started off with like coffee cups from the deli when I used to work at the hardware store, and I would write messages on that, and then eventually I'm like, I need something a little bit more sustainable. I don't want to keep like having to buy coffee cups. So found a ceramic mug on Amazon, got me an expo market, and I started getting to work on that. As for Worthy Note, that was a collaboration between me and my partner, Kay Swerving. We used to connect over positivity and have conversations talking about just the growth mindset and like how to really make an impact in this world in like just the smallest of ways. You don't need 1 million followers. You don't need to be the most articulate. It could be one simple word and it could change somebody's life for the better. So what we started off doing actually was taking sticky notes, and we would write just positive messages. Like, I think the first one I ever did was breathe, or he wrote breathe, and we just stick it in somewhere like the subway station or on a train or anywhere outside in the world just for somebody else to possibly see. And then we're like, yo, like, let's actually do stickers so they're not just flying away in the wind and nobody sees it. So from that, we also developed and realized not only do we have positive messages, but everyone has a positive message. And even if it may not be positive, it could be something that inspires change in another person, something you found valuable in your own life that is willing to impact somebody else. So that's when we started to go around and we made the actual stickers, and then we went around and just talking to different people, like asking them, what is something that is worth sharing? What is a worthy note that someone else can take away and add value to their life?
And that's on Worthy Note. I find it amazing that within our community, I feel like Black men trying to push the image of being comfortable with mental health and trying to help people is often overlooked. But I've seen that you use your position in our community to also push a different narrative, you know, of whether it be through Worthy Note. And you're very consistent, you know, in terms of just waking people up to a nice quote or always reminding people to keep on going. You know, there's certain things that people need to see on social media that feeds and stimulates your brain. And I like that you always have a different or creative way of expressing that to your viewers and your followers. It's very dope. And that leads me into my next question. So you are a poet as well, you know. Do you feel like journaling thoughts or even putting your emotions into words written on paper can do a service to the Black community? Especially being that mental health is often overlooked. Do you feel like Black men often have the rights to their feelings?
Two-part question. I'll answer the first one. Yes, I think journaling is very important. it was my first way of actually expressing myself and finding a way for my words to be heard, whether it's nobody, but at least I got to put it on a piece of paper that I may read or never look at it again. And I think the important part about that is the creative aspect, because oftentimes we'll have emotions or thoughts and we'll do nothing with them except mull them over in our mind and keep going through cycles that make us crazy. So journaling is such a great way for anybody to get their thoughts out, to be creative, take that energy and turn it into something else that is maybe productive, but at least it's not destroying you internally. And your second question was, do black men have the right to...
Do you feel like black men do themselves the service of expressing themselves, whether it be mentally or talking about the things that they go through within the community?
Yes and no. So there are black men who I have met where we can have open dialogue about how we're feeling and what we're really dealing with in a non-competitive manner, or trying to put on this like masculine air, like, oh, I'll always fix everything and I got this all going on. But when you have those kind of open conversations, it allows real connection and real vulnerability to exist between black men and a true brotherhood to be established, instead of a fake one of like, we're trying to compete to see who's better and who's stronger and who got more money or who got more accomplishments. It really matters in the grand scheme of things, as this is a vain world and things are very much fleeting. Today you could have it and tomorrow you don't got it. So I'll say yes in that aspect, and no also where there are dudes who do speak like that, and there is like a sense of arrogance, I find, where there's this mentality of, I have to do it myself. I can't rely on anybody, and if I don't do it myself, then I ain't really do it then. Or I'm a failure and I need to get help. There's nothing wrong with help. There's nothing wrong with support. There's nothing wrong with collaboration, because when you look at other people, you look at other races, that is exactly what they do. We're both Guyanese. You already know how it is back home, where it's like you see like, the judgment. You want to see people helping each other. You look at other races and they will put themselves up 6 people in a home until everyone is able to save up enough and get their own house and own business. You don't really see that much in our community, and if there is, it is a very number. And then even then, the majority of the mentality is, I got to fend for myself. But I think kindness kills. Kindness kills the ego. I tend to say that a lot. And it makes the world go round, because you are me and I am you. I'm just another version of you living this life, just through a different lens and a different reflection. So why not help each other and help ourselves to do better, elevate, and just get to the places we want to be? You go faster when you go by yourself, but you go much further when you go with a team. Reality is there's more than enough to go around, but the mindset won't allow you to see that if you don't see that. So that's where the competition comes in. It's like, who wants to be number one? Who wants to be the best? Who wants to be on top? But these are all just illusions. These are all just fabricated ideas of positions that don't really hold real weight. Because you can be number one and at the top, but who's really with you while you're up there? Can you say, okay, I got $1 million, I got $10 million. Who's with you in your big house? Who's with you in your car riding around? Is it just you and your chauffeur? Or is it just you in your house with someone who maybe doesn't love you, just there with you for your money? How do you really establish real relationship if it's like everything becomes a competition and it's not enough and it's not enough in greed? We can be comfortable. We don't have to be so overtly like indulgent in the pleasures of this life. They're there for a reason. And yes, money is like an object in this world that we use to facilitate things, but it's also a tool. So how much of the tool do you really need to get things done before you feel like it's enough?
A mouthful of just so much deepness to take in. You know, aside from the podcast, as I said before, we've had conversations like this off camera. And I feel like with all this being said, the reason why we're pushing this so much is because we need to hear conversations like this in the Black community. Because it's like, it's one thing for us to talk about it, but it's like, what really is the resolution? And I feel like the resolution starts here. It starts with people like us building communities where it's like, you don't have to sit down and have the average conversation. You don't have to be the average person. You don't have to have the average energy. You don't have to be in the in crowd,
right?
You know, and I feel like as you get older, that frontal lobe development that TikTok pushes so much, is why I love the app, but it exists. You know, you start to realize that the things that you used to love, the things that you used to do, the things that you indulge in, you don't love it anymore. And I feel like running back on mental health, if you don't take the necessary approaches, whether it be surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, as you said before, you leave your mind to crowd yourself with things that are not healthy for you. And I feel like that's also something that a lot of people don't bring to light, what it is to sit in your thoughts and sit in the demons that bother you and how you overcome them. You know, which is why these conversations are so staple. So my next question has to be for you, being someone who has been on their journey of healing, what would you say, what advice would you give to our community to let them know, hey, this is how you overcome it? Black men in specific, because I feel like, yes, we can get on here and talk about us as a whole, but I also do want to shine light on men as well, because women always have a platform and always have different things and ways to express themselves. You know, we do our hair, we do makeup, you know, have different conversations. We build sisterhoods with people, but with men, for the most part, if there's not a good brotherhood, like you said, if there's no accountability being had, it's kind of like the blind leading the blind. So what do you feel like you can tell the audience that will help them overcome whatever it is that they're going through and how to sustain it?
I would honestly say what is coming to mind is humility. I think it starts with acknowledging that you do not have it all figured out. Like, as we grow and we become older, we start to develop our identities of who we are. And we can stick to that and believe that the cycles of decisions that we keep making, we have to keep sticking to them. And if we change from that, now we're breaking the idea of who we are. But then we're like, oh, that's not who I am. That's not who I am. But you're right. It's not. But that doesn't mean you can't become that. And that goes for the good things and the bad things. And I think that's where it also takes acknowledging, like, who are you really, and saying you don't really know yourself. You can only know a certain amount of yourself even up until you die, because we're still constantly learning and evolving. That never stops. Every day is something new and something different, especially if you allow it to be. And if you want to stay in the same mindset, you'll be in the same place. Like, you can't get mad that you're not moving on up because you're not trying to move on up. You want to do the same habits, be around the same people, and maintain the same level of pride and not expose yourself to new information, new experiences, new connections, new people. That helps to expand you. I mentioned earlier, like, we're all reflections of each other, so why can't I learn from somebody else who's around me instead of just feeling like I need to know everything. I know everything. I already did this before. How can you tell me about this, this, and that? We got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen more than you speak. There's so much information in this world. Right now, we're in the age of information, naturally, right, with technology and everything. But beyond that, we receive so much input from the world around us. And if we could just take 2 seconds to just slow down, pay attention, and realize that this, I never noticed. It could be something in this room. It could be something somebody said in a way that I never thought before. And just to full circle it, I just think humility is just super important. You have to admit to yourself that you do not know. And they say in the Bible, right, that the beginning of wisdom and knowledge is the fear of God. And the fear of God is not just being fearful and scared. It's respect and understanding that there is something greater than me. And that applies into all areas of life. This person knows something more than me. And that exposes you to something where you can learn from. You can absorb that. You don't have to just be stuck in your comfort zone. So be humble enough to leave your comfort zone. Don't be prideful. Don't be too complacent in like, I got it all. No, you don't. Because those thoughts tonight will come to you. You will be tested over and over again. And if you don't make the choices you need to make and take the risks you need to take, then you'll forever just be in that same place.
You're always going to remain in that area of stagnicity, just being in your thoughts and being in the old version of yourself. I feel like what people fall in line in is being comfortable, like you said. They're comfortable with knowing that the discomfort of change is uncomfortable. You feel me? So it's like, yes, I can acknowledge that I may need to change this, but the environment that I'm in, it leaves me lazy enough not to. Or maybe, who knows what I'll be exposed to if I sit down and actually do the inner work. Which leads me on to my next question for you. Discernment. I see that you kind of have that in the name discern. What is discernment to you, and why? I don't, just to, piggyback off of the name. To correct, it's discern, correct?
Discern, yeah.
Right. So what is discern to you, and do you feel like it's essential? Because I had covered this topic on TikTok, and I said that when your spirit leads you in a place and it no longer feels comfortable, a lot of people tend to overlook discernment for the sake of comfortability. And what do you have? What is your opinion behind the state of discernment? How do you feel it? When did you feel it? How is it something that has played a role in your life essentially? How did we get here?
Ooh, discernment, I think, is one of my favorite spiritual tools, I'll call it. This world is not what it seems. I think that's the very first thing to say. And then two, discernment is being able to acknowledge the differences between things. If you can't see that something is different from another thing and just treat everything the same, you're actually blind. And that could be being blind to potential purpose, blind to opportunities, blind to connections, blind to your own faults, blind to receiving other people. So discernment helps to establish, like, okay, wait, like, this can apply here and this can't apply here. I'm not going to use a screwdriver to put in a nail. I'm going to use a screwdriver for a screw. That's a very, like, simple way of looking at discernment, through differentiating the purposes between things. Now, in terms of, like, choice making and decision making, you have to moment to moment make decisions as you go along in this life. And if you cannot discern what is in front of you, for example, if I'm meeting a girl for the first time and you're on a date, right? And you have to now make decisions of how you want this date to go. What are you going to talk about? Where are you going to go after? And what are the kind of expectations or questions you want to ask? These are choices you got to make. And depending on the person you are, you still have to know what is your goals. So discernment goes back in circles to just having the knowledge and wisdom, and then using that to apply to your decisions.
Behind it exists. And I'm glad that you mentioned spirituality, because sometimes discernment is the things that we can't see. And hence we're living in flesh. A lot of people ignore the fact that we're also spiritual beings as well. So a lot of the things that we feel, a lot of the things that we may feel, yes, a lot of the things that we may feel may not necessarily be, okay, maybe I'm sadder. No, sometimes it's a spiritual feeling. Like, sometimes maybe you have to tap in deeper and say, maybe I need to say a psalm. Maybe I need to dig deep into my Bible. Maybe I need to go surround myself with people whose energy vibrate on my frequency, because the energy that I'm around is not good for me. So to wrap up the conversation, the last two things I want to touch and base with, because of course we have to cover Black love, right? How do you feel, what's your opinion on Black love and hypermasculinity in the Black community, and this whole idea of man versus woman and 50-50? And do you feel like it's beneficial? Do you feel like it's promoting healthy love? Obviously, the correct answer would be no. But what's your opinion on that? Because I feel like we're having so many conversations and talks about things that it's just like, just love your partner and vibe. Why are we looking to social media and podcasts and things to define what love is? And love is a statement that you can only really define. So what's your opinion on that?
I think it comes with understanding within the race, right, of Black people, a Black man, a Black woman, is understanding, one, the challenges each one individually faces, and then also knowing what your partner faces, because then you're able to build that bridge of empathy and understanding, and not just kind of project our ideas of what a Black woman should be or a Black man should be, and then seeing that person for who they are, with their colors of their skin, as well as who they are beyond the color of their skin, because they are more than just that. And the community aspect of, like, how we're socialized into being like, okay, you have to act and behave a certain kind of way, it's all really, like, as I said, socialized and kind of fabricated. You still have to choose how you want to show up in a relationship. Like, you could want to have the best wife or the best husband, but are you that best partner to attract that person? So I think that's, like, the most important question to ask oneself while in relationship or pursuing a relationship.
Definitely. My last question would be to you, to wrap up this idea of love. How viewers, what is, let me rephrase it. As a Black man, what are some things or some ways that you do to keep yourself confident? How do you heal? What are some self-love tips you have for the Black community?
So, 1, journaling. Write down your thoughts and your ideas. 2, go out and talk to people. Meet new people and express yourself and receive like feedback from that. Because if you just talk to yourself all the time or be in what's called ideological echo chambers of just the same ideas, you'll never learn or expand your knowledge base. Go into nature. Just go sit in like some grass for some time, take in the sun, get some vitamin D. Exercise, play a sport, read. Honestly, anything that gets you active, whether physically or mentally, and challenges you to just progress and grow versus just be stagnant and mindless. So yeah.
So, to wrap up tonight's episode, we want to give you the floor because mind our canvas, focus our instrument, reason our medium, being our art, living our masterpiece. Those are from the Wise itself. So, you have the floor. We just want to hear you share an artistic moment piece, anything that you want to tell the viewers from the creative himself. You have the floor.
Thank you. I'll actually read a poem that I wrote about like 2-3 years ago. I think it's very pertinent now and just to keep your awareness up. It's called Say No to War. Whew. We live in a world of destruction, a world with foundation in war and corruption. We seek order, but all I see is chaotic eruption. Can't blame the soldiers, they just following instructions, but if there were no armies, would danger still be our assumption? We live day to day hoping to see sunny rays, only to wake up to bombings and disarray. Peace and love are what they preach and say, yet instead of peace signs, they put rifles and magazines on display. When will there be a time of harmony? A time where people will realize a part of you is a part of me. But pardon me for envisioning a world without pain. Without greed or shame, there wouldn't be a reason to control others as if they're wild animals untamed. Fire and brimstone lace the letters of hell's name, so why does fire and brimstone rain from these war plains? Sheesh. I want you to answer these questions. Do you value another person's life? Do you care what a woman has to become once she loses her husband? Do you even hesitate when stabbing people in the back with a knife? I bet you don't even think twice. Tears are falling, bodies dropping, family losses, they not stopping. Mothers crying, children dying, Putin staring, fear he's driving. How is there to be a community without unity? We're supposed to love and trust each other, but how can we keep breaking moral policy? Tanks rolling through cities like a world tour. Death digits climbing trying to break the scoreboard. If this is for the greater good, I don't know what this could be good for. If we are to continue living on this earth, we have to put our weapons down, put our hands up, and say no to war.
You were an amazing guest. Thank you so much for speaking with Soundoff. As you guys know that this is the platform where we want to emphasize Black creativity, entrepreneurs, the realness, the depth of what it is to be in our skin, the rawness of what it is to have a voice, an opinion, a conversation. It's Coco. It's Discern. Thank you for I thank you for being I thank you for being here with us tonight. It's Soundoff over and out.